Get this welfare trash out of here before she steals something. Mrs. Eleanor Rothwell's hand cracked across Maya's face as 3 family members closed in. James Jr. grabbed Maya's scarf and jerked her backward into the dessert table. Chocolate mousse splattered across her dress as caviar hit the marble floor. Victoria Rothwell Sterling kicked Maya's purse, spilling its contents. "Look at that cheap knockoff bag!" Senator Charles Rothwell pointed his cane at Maya's chest. "Security! Remove this creature immediately!" The Rothwell family formed a predatory circle around Maya while 200 wealthy guests pulled out phones. Flashes erupted as Maya stood frozen, chocolate dripping from her fingers, surrounded by Manhattan's most powerful family. Her quiet dignity seemed pathetic against their coordinated attack. Have you ever been so completely outnumbered that escape felt impossible? The Rothwell family moved like a pack of wolves who'd tasted blood. Mrs. Eleanor stepped closer, her Cartier bracelet catching the light as she gestured dismissively. "James, call building security. This person clearly snuck in through the service entrance." "Already on it, Mother." James Rothwell Jr. held his phone high, snapping photos of Maya like she was evidence at a crime scene. "Look at that discount store dress. Probably cost less than our wine tonight." Victoria's manicured finger stabbed at her phone screen, her 2.3 million Instagram followers joining the hunt. "Going live from the Met Gala, catching a party crasher red-handed, guys." Her voice dripped with theatrical disgust. "I can literally smell the desperation." Senator Charles tapped his silver cane against the marble floor. "In 30 years of politics, I've seen this exact type. They read about events in gossip magazines, then show up thinking they belong." He leaned on his cane, studying Maya like a specimen. "Probably has outstanding warrants." The family had found their rhythm. They circled Maya slowly, each taking turns to deliver cutting observations to their growing audience. "Look at those shoes," Eleanor pointed. "Payless? Or did she steal those too?" "The hair extensions are so obvious," Victoria giggled into her phone. "My followers are dying right now. Sarah NYC just commented, 'Call the police.' Heart emoji, fire emoji." James moved closer, his corporate instincts kicking in. "Ma'am, I run the largest defense contractor in the Northeast. I know exactly how much everything costs in this room. Your entire outfit wouldn't cover the tax on my watch." The museum's head of security approached cautiously. A retired NYPD captain, he'd handled everything from art theft to celebrity meltdowns. But something felt different about this situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," the gala host's voice boomed over the sound system, 10 minutes until our auction closes for the evening. Final bids are being accepted for tonight's remarkable collection." Eleanor's eyes sharpened. "Perfect timing. We need this handled before the important part begins." She turned to the security chief. "I've been on this museum's board for 30 years. Remove her immediately." Victoria's live stream exploded with activity. 25,000 viewers and climbing. The comments section became a feeding frenzy. "OMG, she looks so guilty. Why hasn't security grabbed her yet? Throw her out. Check her pockets." The racial slurs started appearing in the comment stream. Victoria didn't moderate them. Senator Charles leveraged his political weight. "I have the police commissioner on speed dial. One call and this becomes a federal trespassing case." His voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to making threats stick. Maya stood in the center of their coordinated attack, chocolate still staining her dress. She reached into her simple black clutch for tissues to clean her face. As she opened the purse, several items became briefly visible. A first-class boarding pass, JFK to Dubai, business section. The corner of what looked like a titanium credit card, a phone screen showing 87 missed calls. The security chief noticed the boarding pass but couldn't read the name from his angle. James pressed his advantage. "I employ half the security firms in Manhattan. Once word gets out about tonight, you'll never work in this city again." "Assuming she actually has a job," Eleanor added with cruel precision. Victoria's followers were eating it up. The viewer count hit 45,000. Her engagement metrics were through the roof. "Guys, she's just standing there," Victoria narrated breathlessly. "Like, doesn't she realize she's been caught? The audacity is unreal." Maya's phone buzzed constantly. Bloomberg notifications, Reuters alerts. The screen lit up repeatedly, but she made no move to answer. The museum director arrived, his face flushed from rushing across the building. "What seems to be the problem here?" "Some woman crashed our gala," Eleanor explained smoothly, "probably hoping to network with people far above her station." "Or steal jewelry during the cocktail hour," James added. The director looked uncomfortable. High-profile donors were complaining, social media was buzzing, and the auction needed to proceed smoothly. "Ma'am," he addressed Maya directly, "I'm afraid you'll need to show me your invitation and identification." Maya looked up from cleaning chocolate off her dress. For the first time since the slap, she spoke. "I'd like to make a phone call first." "Denied," the security chief said immediately. "You can call a lawyer from the station." Eleanor smiled triumphantly. See how they always want to make a call when they're caught. The crowd of wealthy guests had grown larger. Phone cameras created a forest of glowing screens, all pointed at Maya. Some guests live-streamed on their own social platforms, adding fuel to the viral fire. Victoria's stream hit 60,000 viewers. The comments were becoming increasingly hostile. Maya glanced at her watch, a subtle gesture, but the first sign of any concern about time. 8 minutes until the auction closed. Her phone screen lit up again. This time, the security chief caught a glimpse of the caller ID, but the name was too small to read clearly. The Rothwell family sensed victory approaching. They'd successfully isolated their target, controlled the narrative, and mobilized both traditional and social media pressure. Maya stood alone, surrounded by Manhattan's elite, with nowhere to run. "Last chance," Senator Charles declared. "Leave voluntarily, or we'll have you arrested for trespassing." Maya's quiet dignity was cracking under the sustained assault. The Rothwell family transformed the museum floor into their personal war room. Mrs. Eleanor positioned herself like a commanding general, directing the assault with surgical precision. "James, get your corporate security here immediately. Victoria, make sure this goes viral. Charles, use your government connections." The family had found their battle stations. James stepped away, phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, it's Rothwell. I need a full team at the Met Museum now. Trespassing situation that needs immediate resolution." His voice carried the authority of someone who'd never been told no. Victoria's live stream had become the evening's entertainment. 75,000 viewers watched her narrate the takedown like a sporting event. "Okay, beautiful humans, we're at 75K viewers. This is literally insane." She positioned her phone for the perfect angle. "Security is about to drag her out. Should I follow them to get the arrest footage?" The comment section had become a toxic wasteland. "Make her famous for the wrong reasons. Check if she stole anything. Why is she just standing there? Probably on drugs." Senator Charles worked his political connections with practiced efficiency. "Commissioner Martinez? Charles Rothwell. I need a favor at the Metropolitan Museum. Priority response." He paused, listening. "Yes, the same Charles who got your budget approved last year." Maya stood in the center of the expanding chaos, still cleaning chocolate from her dress with methodical precision. 6 minutes remained until the auction closed. The museum director wrung his hands as more board members arrived. These weren't just donors, they were Manhattan royalty. Alienating the Rothwell family could cost the museum millions in future contributions. "Ma'am, please understand our position," he pleaded with Maya. "These are some of our most valued supporters. If you could just show us some identification." Eleanor smelled victory. "Exactly. We donate $50 million annually to this institution. Our family has been patrons for 3 decades. She gestured dramatically at Maya. "Are you going to protect us, or this obvious intruder?" The security team multiplied. Museum guards joined James's corporate security personnel. 8 men now formed a loose perimeter around Maya, awaiting orders. Victoria's engagement metrics were astronomical. Her follower count was actually increasing in real time as the stream went viral across platforms. "OMG, guys, my notifications are literally breaking my phone," she squealed. "People are sharing this everywhere. We're about to hit 100K viewers." Maya's phone continued its relentless buzzing. Each notification seemed more urgent than the last. She glanced at the screen briefly, long enough for the security chief to notice multiple missed calls from unknown numbers. "Popular lady," he commented sarcastically. "Drug dealer blowing up your phone?" Eleanor's voice cut through the crowd noise. "I want her searched immediately. Check for stolen items, weapons, drugs, whatever trash like this typically carries." The suggestion electrified the growing audience. Phone cameras pushed closer, hoping to capture the body search footage. James returned from his call, radiating corporate confidence. "My security team is 3 minutes out. Full background check, criminal history, outstanding warrants, the works." He studied Maya like a problem to be solved. "We'll know everything about you within the hour." Senator Charles joined the tactical discussion. "NYPD response time is 5 minutes. I may have implied this was a potential terrorist situation." He shrugged casually. "Better safe than sorry." Maya looked at her watch again. This time, her composure slipped slightly. 5 minutes until the auction closes. The crowd sensed the approaching climax. Conversations quieted as guests positioned themselves for optimal viewing angles. This was better than any Broadway show. Victoria seized the dramatic moment. 100,000 viewers, beautiful people. This is literally the most viral I've ever gone. She lowered her voice conspiratorially. "I think she's about to completely break down." The museum's head of security received radio confirmation. "Multiple units responding. ETA 4 minutes. Eleanor's triumphant smile was predatory. "Perfect. I want this documented for legal proceedings. Trespassing, disturbing the peace, probably attempted theft." Maya's phone lit up with what looked like a video call. She glanced at the screen, and for the first time all evening, her eyes widened slightly. "Time's up," Senator Charles declared, pointing his cane at Maya's chest. "No more delays, no more excuses." The security perimeter tightened. 8 guards, 4 family members, and 200 phone cameras formed concentric circles around one woman in a chocolate-stained dress. Victoria's stream hit its peak engagement. Comments flooded faster than anyone could read. "This is better than Netflix." "She looks terrified." "About time." "Get her." James's corporate security team entered the museum's main hall. Professional, efficient, carrying zip-tie restraints. They moved through the crowd with military precision. Maya stood completely surrounded. Every exit was blocked. Every escape route is monitored. The Rothwell family had achieved total tactical superiority. Eleanor raised her voice for the gathered crowd. "Let this be a lesson. There are consequences when people forget their place in society." The audience murmured approval. Social order was being restored. Maya's phone rang again. She looked at the caller ID, took a deep breath, and made a decision that would change everything. But instead of answering the call, she did something unexpected. She opened her phone's screen and held it steady, facing the head of security. His expression changed instantly. The color drained from his weathered face as he read whatever was displayed. "Sir," he whispered urgently to the museum director, "we have a problem." Victoria's live stream captured his reaction in perfect high definition. 120,000 viewers watched a confident security chief transform into a man who'd just seen a ghost. The museum director leaned in to look at Maya's phone screen. His knees buckled slightly. "Oh my God," he breathed. Eleanor sensed something shifting. "What's wrong? Just arrest her." But the security chief was already stepping backward, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. The tide was about to turn. 3 minutes until the auction closes. Maya didn't speak. She simply turned her phone screen toward the crowd. The security chief stumbled backward like he'd been physically struck. His radio clattered to the marble floor, the sound echoing through the suddenly quiet hall. "Stand down," he whispered hoarsely. "All units, stand down immediately." The museum director's face went ashen as he read the screen. His trembling hand reached for the nearest wall for support, his knees threatening to buckle. "Ma'am, we had no idea. Please accept our most sincere—" "What's on that phone?" Eleanor demanded, her voice cracking with the first hint of uncertainty she'd shown all evening. Maya's screen displayed her Forbes profile in crystal clarity. Maya Lane Williams' net worth, $3.2 billion, rank, number 47, world's richest CEO, Meridian Aerospace Defense, largest private defense contractor, North America, founded 2019. Employees, 23,000. Revenue, 2.1 B. Below the profile, a text thread with U.S. Secretary of Defense showed active messages. Maya, Pentagon needs your decision on the 1.8 B contract by midnight EST. China's situation is developing. Your input is required ASAP. Joint Chiefs meeting moved to Aero 800. Can you attend virtually? Taiwan defense package awaiting your approval signatures. Victoria's live stream exploded. 150,000 viewers watched her follower count spike in real time as screenshots flooded social media platforms worldwide. The comment section transformed instantly. "Holy shit, that's Maya Lane. She's literally a billionaire. The Rothwells are so done. I'm dying. This is the best plot twist ever. She owns half the military. Revenge is coming." James Rothwell Jr. read the screen and his phone slipped from nerveless fingers. The titanium device shattered against marble, creating a sound like breaking dreams and shattered assumptions. That's not possible," he stammered, his corporate confidence evaporating. You look so normal." Maya's voice carried quiet steel that could cut diamond. "I don't need diamonds to prove my worth. Apparently you do." The ripple effect spread through the crowd like wildfire consuming dry leaves. Guests who'd been recording Maya's humiliation now frantically deleted videos, horrified at their complicity in attacking one of the world's most powerful women. Board members who'd remained silent during the assault now pushed forward, desperate to distance themselves from the Rothwell family's catastrophic mistake. "Ms. Lane Williams," the museum chairman stammered, appearing from nowhere. "I had no idea you were attending tonight. Your foundation's contribution was processed anonymously, and we—" Senator Charles gripped his silver cane with white knuckles. His political survival instincts screamed danger as he recognized the scope of their mistake. Defense contracts, campaign contributions, committee appointments, all potentially destroyed by one family's arrogance. Eleanor's world tilted on its axis. 30 years of social dominance crumbled in 30 seconds of reading a phone screen. "But you're dressed so simply," she whispered, grasping for logic in the chaos consuming her reality. Maya's expression remained unchanged. "I prefer substance over flash. Apparently that's a foreign concept to your family." Her second phone rang. The caller ID made James Jr.'s remaining color disappear entirely. Rothwell Industries, Board Emergency Session, live. Below that notification, a cascade of missed calls painted a picture of global urgency. James Rothwell Jr., 23 missed calls. Goldman Sachs, private, 15 missed calls. Pentagon Liaison Office, 31 missed calls. Bloomberg Terminal, 8 missed calls. White House Situation Room, 4 missed calls. NATO Defense Council, 2 missed calls. Maya declined the Rothwell Industries call with deliberate slowness, her finger hovering over the screen for maximum psychological impact. Your board has been trying to reach me for the past hour, she said with casual precision. Something about contract renewals worth $847 million. The security team that had surrounded her moments before now backed away like she was radioactive material. Their confident formation dissolved into confused retreat as they realized they'd been seconds away from arresting a woman who advised the Pentagon on national security. Victoria's live stream hit 200,000 viewers. Her phone overheated from the traffic surge, but she kept filming with desperate intensity, her influencer instincts recognizing the viral goldmine she'd stumbled into. "Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!" she whispered into the camera. "This is literally the biggest plot twist in social media history. I can't even... My followers are breaking the internet!" The museum director found his voice through sheer professional desperation. "Ms. Lane Williams, on behalf of the Metropolitan Museum, I deeply apologize for this inexcusable treatment of our most generous..." Maya raised one hand slightly. The entire room fell silent like a conductor had cut off an orchestra. "I tried to tell you I belonged here." Her voice never rose above conversational level, yet commanded absolute attention. "I'm tonight's largest individual donor." Eleanor's legs gave out. She grabbed James's arm for support, her Cartier bracelet catching on his sleeve as she struggled to process the magnitude of their error. "Largest donor?" Eleanor croaked, her social supremacy crumbling. Maya reached into her simple clutch and produced a folded document. The letterhead was unmistakable. Metropolitan Museum of Art, Major Gifts Department. Pledge confirmation. Donor, Lane Williams Foundation amount, $50,000. Date, earlier today. Purpose, contemporary artists of color. Wing processing status, completed. The number seemed to glow on the expensive paper, dwarfing every other contribution of the evening. James Jr.'s corporate mind finally grasped the implications. His company's biggest military contracts, their quarterly earnings reports, 15,000 jobs across 12 states, all dependent on the woman they'd just publicly humiliated in front of 200 witnesses and 200,000 live stream viewers. "Maya," he whispered, using her first name for the first time, his voice breaking. "The defense contracts. 47% of your annual revenue," she confirmed quietly. $847 million, your largest client relationship. Senator Charles's political calculus ran at light speed. His committee appointments, defense budget authorizations, campaign contributions from aerospace industries. His entire political career built on relationships Maya could destroy with a phone call, all connected to the woman he'd called a creature and threatened with his cane. The auction timer hit 0. Maya's deadline had passed, but somehow that seemed irrelevant now. Maya's voice cut through the stunned silence like a surgical blade. "Since the Rothwell family is so interested in my business, let me provide some comprehensive education." She pulled out a leather portfolio from her clutch, moving with the measured precision of someone accustomed to boardroom warfare. The portfolio was thick, organized with colored tabs and legal dividers. This was no spontaneous response. "Mrs. Eleanor Rothwell." Maya's eyes locked on the matriarch with laser focus. "Your late husband's foundation, the one that bears your family name and builds your entire social reputation." Eleanor's face went white as Maya produced a document bearing official letterhead. "Anonymous donor 001 on all your tax filings, $200 million over 5 years. Every major donation is attributed to your family's generosity." Maya's voice remained conversational, making the revelation more devastating. "Your children's hospital wing, your scholarship programs, your art acquisitions, your homeless shelter funding." The leather portfolio opened to reveal more documents. Corporate filings, bank statements, wire transfer records. Each page is meticulously organized and legally verified. The Hamilton Rothwell Foundation would collapse tomorrow without my continued support. 16 full-time employees would lose their jobs. 3 hospitals would lose critical funding. 12 scholarship recipients would see their education terminated. Your social legacy would become a historical footnote within 6 months. Eleanor grabbed the nearest chair, her Cartier bracelet trembling against the gold fabric as her world crumbled around her. Maya turned to James Jr., who stood frozen like prey, sensing a predator circling closer. Rothwell Industries. Revenue last fiscal year, $2.1 billion. Maya's finger traced down a financial statement with corporate precision. My contracts through Meridian Aerospace, $847 million. That's 40% of your business, James. Nearly half your company's survival depends on my continued partnership. She pulled out another document, a thick legal contract bound in blue covers with official government seals. Defense Contract 47 Alpha, signed 18 months ago, renewable annually at my sole discretion. 15,000 jobs across 12 states depend on this signature. Your stock price, your quarterly earnings, your board's confidence in your leadership. James's voice cracked with desperation. Maya, please, you have to understand, we didn't know. I understand perfectly. Maya's interruption was surgical in its precision. Page 47, subsection 12, Morality Clause. Quote, contractor reserves the right to terminate immediately for conduct detrimental to business relationships, public reputation, or organizational values. She turned the page with deliberate slowness, each rustle echoing in the silent hall. Page 51, subsection 18. Family Conduct Standards. Quote, executive family members and their associates representing company interests must maintain professional decorum, ethical behavior, and respectful conduct in all public forums and social gatherings. The legal language hung in the air like a death sentence, each word carefully chosen for maximum impact. Page 63, Cancellation Penalties. Quote, early termination for cause results in immediate forfeiture of all future contracted revenues plus liquidated damages of $340 million. James physically staggered as the numbers hit him. His company couldn't survive losing Maya's business and paying penalties simultaneously. Victoria tried desperately to salvage her digital empire. Maya, I can delete the live stream immediately, issue a public apology, do whatever you... 2.8 million followers. Maya didn't look up from her documents, her disinterest more devastating than anger. Average engagement rate of 12%. Daily reach of 300,000 people. Your lifestyle brand partnerships generate 4.2 million annually. Maya produced another folder, thicker than the others. Victoria's heart sank as she recognized corporate logos scattered across the documents. Luxury Fashion Collective, your primary sponsor. My investment firm, Meridian Capital, owns a 63% equity stake through our luxury goods portfolio. Maya's finger traced down the page methodically. Contract termination clause allows immediate cancellation for reputational damage to brand partners. Victoria's phone, still somehow recording despite overheating, captured her complete psychological breakdown in high definition. Hermes Partnership, terminated with cause forfeits $2.1 million in annual fees. Tiffany Collaboration. Morality Clause violation results in lawsuit for brand damage. Bergdorf Goodman. Exclusive arrangements. My retail investment fund controls their partnership budget allocation. Maya flipped to another tab in Victoria's folder. Your Manhattan penthouse mortgage, held by Meridian Real Estate Investment Trust. Your Range Rover lease, financed through our automotive lending division. Your daughter's private school tuition, funded by a scholarship from our education foundation. The scope of Maya's financial web became terrifyingly clear. She didn't just influence Victoria's career, she controlled her entire lifestyle. One phone call terminates every partnership contract, every financing arrangement, every foundation grant. Your influencer career, your home, your transportation, your daughter's education, all disappear before sunrise. Senator Charles tried to invoke political immunity with trembling authority. Maya, surely you understand the complexities of government relationships. $12 million. Maya's interruption was absolute and crushing. Your campaign contributions over 6 election cycles. My political action committee, Defense Industries United, plus subsidiary PACs in Delaware, Virginia, and Texas. She pulled out campaign finance reports with surgical precision, each page marked with highlighter and legal annotations. Committee on Armed Services. Your appointment came with my written endorsement to Senate leadership, Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. I testified personally in support of your confirmation before 14 senators. The senator's silver cane shook uncontrollably in his grip. That military base in your district? 15,000 civilian jobs. My company operates the entire facility under exclusive government contract. Annual economic impact, $800 million to your state's economy. Maya turned to a page marked with red tabs, the most serious classification. Security clearance reviews can be triggered by ethics investigations. One formal complaint about discrimination against defense contractors results in immediate suspension of all classified project access. Base operations shut down pending investigation. 15,000 people are unemployed. Your state's economy is devastated. Your political career terminated. Maya closed the portfolio and addressed all 4 family members simultaneously, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd negotiated with heads of state and commanded global resources. Here's what happens next. Each of you has exactly one choice: compliance or total destruction. Her words settled over them like concrete, permanent and inescapable. Mrs. Eleanor, public apology broadcast live across all major social media platforms within 24 hours. Immediate resignation from 3 charity boards with written statements explaining your discriminatory behavior. $10 million donation to the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, processed and confirmed within 48 hours. Eleanor's mouth opened and closed soundlessly, her social supremacy collapsing. Alternative: I withdraw all anonymous funding from Hamilton Rothwell Foundation effective immediately. $200 million disappears overnight. Foundation declares bankruptcy. Your husband's name becomes associated with charity fraud. Your social reputation dies permanently with his legacy. Maya turned to James with predatory corporate focus. James Rothwell, Jr. Public apology broadcast to all employees and shareholders within 12 hours. Mandatory unconscious bias training implemented for all executive staff within 30 days. 3 qualified African-American executives were promoted to C-suite positions before quarter end. Public diversity reports published quarterly. James's corporate survival instincts screamed warnings as he calculated the cascading consequences. Alternative: I invoke morality clause termination immediately. $847 million in contracts canceled within 72 hours. Stock price drops 60 to 80%. Your board votes you out within 1 week. 15,000 people lose their jobs before Christmas. The company enters bankruptcy proceedings by February. Victoria whimpered audibly as Maya's attention shifted to her with clinical precision. Victoria Rothwell Sterling. Delete all original live stream content immediately. Record and publish a sincere public apology video to your followers within 6 hours. 1 full year promoting exclusively Black-owned businesses on your platform. Donate 100% of influencer earnings to minority entrepreneur funds with public accounting. Victoria's phone finally died completely, ending the live stream that had simultaneously made and destroyed her career. Alternative: I contact every major brand partner immediately. All sponsorship deals terminated for moral turpitude. Influencer career destroyed permanently. Legal action for defamation and harassment. You become a case study about privilege, consequences, and social media responsibility. Senator Charles received the final, most politically devastating ultimatum. Senator Charles Rothwell. Public testimony supporting expanded anti-discrimination legislation within 30 days. Return my $12 million in campaign contributions to established civil rights organizations with public documentation. Co-sponsor 3 major equality bills in the next congressional session with active promotion. The political implications crashed over him like a tsunami of career destruction. Alternative: I testify before the Senate Ethics Committee about tonight's events with full documentation. Security clearance investigations begin immediately for discrimination against classified defense contractors. Political career ends in scandal and possible criminal charges. That military base in your district closes permanently, devastating your state's economy. Maya checked her watch with casual precision, the gesture more intimidating than any threat. You have exactly 60 seconds to decide. Compliance with my terms, or complete destruction of everything you've built. The museum hall had become a courtroom where privilege faced judgment and found itself utterly powerless. Eleanor broke first, her voice cracking like ancient porcelain. I accept your terms completely. The matriarch, who had commanded New York society for 3 decades, now sounded like a frightened child. Her Cartier bracelet caught the light as her hand trembled against the chair. James followed within seconds, corporate survival instincts overriding pride. Meridian Aerospace will receive full compliance from Rothwell Industries. All requirements will be met ahead of schedule. His voice carried the hollow tone of a CEO who'd just watched his empire transform from kingdom to vassal state. Victoria nodded frantically, unable to speak through tears that had destroyed her perfectly applied makeup. Her influencer empire had crumbled in real time before 200,000 viewers. Senator Charles straightened his shoulders with the dignity of a man facing inevitable political death. I accept full responsibility for my actions and commit to your proposed legislative agenda. Maya's portfolio closed with a soft leather whisper that sounded like a gavel ending court proceedings. Excellent. My legal team will deliver detailed compliance documents within 48 hours. Failure to meet any deadline results in immediate implementation of all consequences. She gathered her documents with the methodical precision of someone who'd just dismantled 4 lives and rebuilt them according to her moral specifications. 6 months later, the Rothwell transformation. The changes began within hours of Maya's ultimatum. Eleanor's public apology video, recorded in her Park Avenue penthouse, garnered 15 million views in its first day. Her voice shook as she addressed the camera directly. I allowed privilege to blind me to human dignity. My behavior was inexcusable, discriminatory, and violated every value I claim to represent. The $10 million wire transfer to the NAACP appeared on screen as she spoke, time-stamped and verified. Within a week, Eleanor had resigned from the boards of 3 major charitable organizations, each resignation letter citing her need to confront unconscious bias and systemic discrimination. The Hamilton Rothwell Foundation received its largest ever anonymous donation, $50 million from Maya's personal account, ensuring continuity, while Eleanor learned to lead with humility instead of supremacy. James Rothwell Jr. faced the most complex transformation. His public apology to Rothwell Industries employees was broadcast during an emergency company-wide meeting. 15,000 workers across 12 states watched their CEO acknowledge his family's inexcusable discrimination against our most valued business partner. The unconscious bias training program implementation became a case study in corporate reform. Maya's consultants designed a comprehensive curriculum covering historical discrimination, unconscious bias recognition, and inclusive leadership practices. Every executive, manager, and supervisor completed 40 hours of training within 30 days. The 3 African-American executives promoted to C-suite positions were not tokens. They were highly qualified professionals Maya had identified through industry networks. Dr. Patricia Williams became Chief Innovation Officer, bringing 20 years of aerospace engineering experience. Marcus Johnson assumed the role of Chief Financial Officer, transferring from Goldman Sachs with Maya's recommendation. Angela Thompson became Chief Operating Officer, previously running supply chain operations for Boeing. The quarterly diversity reports became models for industry transparency. Rothwell Industries published detailed demographic breakdowns, promotion statistics, and pay equity analyses. Other defense contractors began adopting similar reporting standards, creating industry-wide accountability. Victoria's transformation proved the most publicly visible. Her apology video, recorded without makeup in natural lighting, received 23 million views and became a template for authentic social media accountability. I weaponized my privilege and platform to harm someone who had done nothing wrong. I amplified discrimination to hundreds of thousands of people for entertainment. Her voice was raw, unfiltered by her usual influencer persona. I'm dedicating the next year to learning, growing, and using my platform to support businesses owned by people I helped marginalize. Her year-long commitment to promoting Black-owned businesses transformed her content strategy entirely. Instead of luxury lifestyle posts, Victoria featured entrepreneurs, interviewed business owners, and directed her millions of followers toward supporting minority-owned enterprises. Her engagement rates initially dropped 40%, but her content quality and authenticity improved dramatically. The financial commitment proved substantial. Victoria's influencer earnings, approximately $4 million annually, were donated to the Minority Business Development Fund, with public accounting published monthly. Her followers watched her transition from privileged lifestyle showcase to genuine business advocate. Senator Charles faced the most politically dangerous transformation. His public testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee supporting expanded anti-discrimination legislation was broadcast on C-SPAN and widely covered by major news networks. My behavior demonstrated exactly why stronger legal protections are necessary. When people in positions of power face no consequences for discriminatory conduct, we create systems that perpetuate inequality. His testimony helped pass 3 major bills: the Workplace Dignity Act, the Corporate Accountability and Defense Contracting Act, and the Social Media Platform Responsibility Act. Returning the $12 million in campaign contributions required intricate legal maneuvering. The funds were distributed to established civil rights organizations: $4 million to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, $3 million to the Southern Poverty Law Center, $2 million to the National Urban League, and $3 million to local civil rights organizations in his home state. The political cost was significant, but manageable. Charles's approval ratings dropped 20% initially, but his authentic transformation and legislative achievements helped him recover. His military base remained operational under Maya's contracts, preserving 15,000 jobs and $800 million in annual economic impact. Systemic industry changes. The Rothwell Protocols. Maya's victory extended far beyond one family's transformation. The incident became a catalyst for industry-wide reform, with new standards that became known as the Rothwell Protocols. Defense industry reform. 73 major defense contractors adopted family-inclusive morality clauses within 6 months. Executive family members' public conduct became contractually relevant to business relationships. The Defense Contractors Association established an ethics hotline for reporting discriminatory behavior by contractors or their families. Corporate accountability measures. Fortune 500 companies began implementing dignity policies, requiring respectful conduct from executives and their families at public events. Stock markets started factoring discrimination incidents into risk assessments, with documented bias creating measurable share price volatility. Social media platform changes. Major platforms developed anti-harassment policies, specifically addressing live-streamed discrimination. Victoria's original stream became a training example for content moderators learning to identify and interrupt real-time harassment. Museum and cultural institution reform. The Metropolitan Museum implemented mandatory dignity training for all board members, staff, and major donors. Other cultural institutions adopted similar policies, recognizing that fundraising events could not become venues for discrimination without consequences. The Maya Lane Williams effect. Maya's approach created a new model for addressing systemic discrimination. Instead of seeking revenge or publicity, she used economic leverage to create lasting institutional change. Her methods were studied in business schools as examples of constructive corporate warfare, using market power to enforce social justice. The Hamilton Rothwell Memorial Wing opened with great fanfare. Eleanor stood beside Maya during the ribbon-cutting ceremony, both women having found unexpected mutual respect through the transformation process. The wing featured contemporary artists of color whose work had been historically underrepresented in major museums. Maya's net worth grew to $4.5 billion over 6 months, partly due to positive publicity from the incident. Her approach to discrimination, measured, strategic, and focused on systemic change rather than personal destruction, attracted new investors and government contracts. The unexpected redemption. Perhaps most remarkably, the Rothwell family members genuinely changed. Eleanor became a vocal advocate for examining privilege and unconscious bias among wealthy philanthropists. James Jr. discovered that inclusive leadership improved company performance and employee satisfaction. Victoria found deeper fulfillment in supporting entrepreneurs than showcasing luxury goods. Senator Charles learned that courage in admitting mistakes could strengthen rather than destroy political careers. Maya had proven that dignity and strategic thinking could defeat privilege and prejudice. Her quiet power had restructured not just 4 lives, but entire industries. The woman who'd been slapped and humiliated had responded by building a more just world, one contract and one conversation at a time. 2 years later, the legacy of quiet power. Maya Lane Williams stood at the podium of the World Economic Forum, addressing 2,000 global leaders. Her simple black dress, remarkably similar to the one stained with chocolate at the Met Gala, commanded absolute attention without shouting for it. "True power doesn't announce itself," she said, her voice carrying easily across the silent auditorium. "It builds systems that outlast the moment." The Rothwell incident had become legendary in business schools, political science courses, and social justice movements worldwide. Harvard Business School's case study, The Maya Protocol, Economic Leverage for Social Change, was required reading across multiple MBA programs. Where they are now. Maya Lane Williams had transformed from billionaire CEO to global icon of strategic activism. Her net worth reached $4.8 billion, but more importantly, her methods had been replicated by marginalized leaders across industries. The Maya method, using economic leverage to create systemic rather than punitive change, influenced corporate responses to discrimination worldwide. She married Pentagon Deputy Secretary Michael Harrison in a ceremony that made headlines for its elegant simplicity and powerful guest list spanning government, business, and civil rights leadership. Their partnership combined defense innovation with social justice advocacy. Mrs. Eleanor Rothwell became an unlikely champion of examining privilege among the wealthy elite. Her book, Unlearning Supremacy, A Privileged Woman's Journey, topped New York Times bestseller lists for 12 weeks. She donated all proceeds to civil rights organizations and spent her remaining years mentoring wealthy families on confronting unconscious bias. Her transformation was genuine, not performative. Eleanor's friendship with Maya developed slowly, but authentically, built on shared commitment to justice rather than social positioning. James Rothwell Jr. discovered that inclusive leadership dramatically improved business performance. Rothwell Industries became the defense industry's most diverse company, with measurable improvements in innovation, employee satisfaction, and financial performance. His company's stock price increased 47% over 2 years. He stepped down as CEO voluntarily, becoming an executive coach specializing in helping traditional companies embrace diversity. His marriage to Dr. Patricia Williams, the chief innovation officer he'd promoted at Maya's direction, was celebrated as both a personal love story and symbolic of institutional change. Victoria Rothwell Sterling emerged as social media's most influential advocate for supporting minority-owned businesses. Her follower count grew to 4.2 million people who valued substance over superficiality. She married civil rights attorney Marcus Thompson, whom she met while volunteering at a legal aid clinic. Her platform generated over $200 million in revenue for Black-owned businesses during her commitment year. She continued promoting diverse entrepreneurs long after her obligation ended, finding deeper fulfillment than her previous lifestyle content ever provided. Senator Charles Rothwell became the unlikely bipartisan champion of anti-discrimination legislation. His political courage in admitting mistakes and championing change earned respect across party lines. He was re-elected by his widest margin ever, with strong support from communities he'd previously alienated. His granddaughter, adopted from foster care and mixed race, became his proudest achievement. Her presence in his life completed his transformation from prejudiced politician to genuine equality advocate. The ripple effect continues. The incident's impact extended far beyond 4 individuals. Rothwell protocols were adopted by 847 major corporations worldwide. Discrimination incidents at public events dropped by 73% in major cities. Social media platforms reported 60% fewer harassment live streams after implementing policies inspired by Victoria's original broadcast. Maya's foundation awarded $500 million in grants to minority-owned businesses over 2 years. Her investment firm directed $2.3 billion toward companies with diverse leadership. Her influence helped pass federal legislation requiring public companies to report diversity metrics in government contracting. The deeper truth. Maya's victory represented more than one woman defeating a powerful family. It proved that dignity, strategy, and economic leverage could restructure entire systems. Her response to discrimination created lasting change for millions of people who would never know her name. She demonstrated that the most powerful revenge was building a more just world. Every contract signed, every policy changed, every bias training session conducted was victory multiplied across time and space. The lesson lives on. Maya's story became a roadmap for anyone facing systemic discrimination. Don't just survive the assault, use it as leverage to create change that prevents others from experiencing the same treatment. Her approach inspired a generation of leaders to think strategically about justice, using economic and political power to build equity rather than seeking individual revenge. Your story matters. Every person facing discrimination has power, even when it doesn't feel that way. Maya's quiet dignity in that moment of humiliation became the foundation for global change. What's your Maya moment? When has someone underestimated you completely? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could inspire someone else facing their own moment of injustice. Tag 3 friends who need to understand that quiet power often beats loud privilege. Subscribe to Black Tales Stories for more real accounts of people who turned discrimination into systematic change. Remember, your dignity is non-negotiable. Your response can reshape the world. The next time someone tries to put you in your place, show them that your place is wherever you choose to stand. Power doesn't have to be loud to change everything.